Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
And I'm David.
This week on the show, we're talking about the new Adam Driver versus dinosaur movie, 65, a movie that one letterboxd reviewer called Adam Driver falling and grunting for 90 minutes.
Plus, we'll talk about, we got a sequel alert here, guys. Good Burger 2. Find out our thoughts about the reunion of Keenan and Kel.
We've got all that and more on the show this week, so without further ado, enjoy the show. The big news of the past week has continued to be the Oscars, right? Because it was last Sunday. But of course, everyone listening to this already heard our recap of the Oscars, so we don't need to talk about that.
Right.
You can go back to our most recent episode and find all our thoughts there. Yeah, I was just scrolling through some of the big news sites real quick, and not a lot has happened outside of the Oscars. I don't know if that's intentional. Maybe people try to keep their big movie announcements kind of spaced out a bit after the Oscars. But there is a big movie announcement that one member of this show will be extremely excited about, but is not here to share with us. And that is that the other night on The Tonight Show, Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell announced Good Burger 2.
Yeah.
We've talked about this idea, I think, as a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Mostly, again, for Garrett. But, wow. I didn't know if I would think this day would ever come.
It's kind of surprising. It's very surprising. It has been a long time. When did Good Burger come out? Well, I want to say like 97.
97. That is correct. Yep.
Man, nailed it. And Kenan has been on SNL for a long time, and Kel has had sporadic appearances in things, but it kind of seemed like they were like their paths were never really going to cross to do something like this.
Right. Kel had a bit of a career resurgence a couple years ago when he did Dancing with the Stars and did pretty well on it. And so he started popping up more places. And then, he started to show up as a guest every once in a while on Saturday Night Live. And then here we are.
Yeah, we had that.
Things are happening.
We had that Kiki Palmer's Kenan and Kel reboot.
Yes.
They did, which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I would take that as well. But a Good Burger 2 all these years later?
I know. It's going to be crazy. What do you even do with it? What do you do with it?
I don't know what to do.
What is nice? So they don't know anything yet about it, or not that they're saying publicly. I saw on the Tonight Show interview, Kenan said that they were going to film it this summer and then release it by the end of the year, I guess, on Paramount Plus.
That's the best way to do it. Yeah.
But I think what is fortunate for Kenan and Kel is they really haven't aged that much physically in all that time. No. So it's like, if they want to just keep setting it in 1997, I would embrace that.
The future of the 90s should have come true. You know what I mean?
How great would it be if it's not, 25 years later and they do just make it a straight up sequel. It's like, it's nothing about the future. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's as if it came out in 98.
They're just 1 year older.
I would love that. That would be goofy AF.
Yes. My only expectation is because I'm one of the handful of people, I guess, who watched Kenan's show, Kenan.
Me as well. I also watched Kenan.
So I'm hoping that we get Chris Redd, because I think Chris Redd was hilarious in that. I don't expect to get Don Johnson. Cool too. But I'm expecting Chris Redd because I think he and Kenan have a good working relationship. So I expect him to be in there. He's pretty funny.
Yeah,
but I'm expecting some other SNL maybe influence. My question is, like you said, they could obviously be very funny if they just pretend like they're the exact same age. But there's a question of, since they are grown up and since the key demo for this is going to be millennials now hitting 30 or so, do they age up the premise a little bit? Like, are these an adult version of Kenan and Kel? And is it a little bit, I don't want to say raunchy because Nickelodeon is apparently still producing it.
Right.
But like,
right.
is it like a little bit more, I don't even know. Is it more in line? Because Kenan's not like, he doesn't work dirty really. But is it more in line with something like, I don't know, a grown-up sitcom, you know, an NBC, a 30 Rock or something like that, you know?
I kind of imagine they might do it like the iCarly reboot that Nickelodeon did. Had some fairly adult jokes. From the episodes I watched, sometimes it was more adult than I even expected because it is still like Nickelodeon's name on it. So maybe they might go that way, but I still, like you said, Kenan and Kel are pretty clean comics. So I think they'll keep it clean anyway, naturally, even if there's some adult flair, perhaps. And because Kenan, the show, was not an inappropriate show by any means.
No, but it's one of those shows, and these don't happen often enough anymore, that like just totally runs on the personality of its star, because like everything about that just fit Kenan and Kenan's delivery. Kenan's like Kenan has always been funny to me because he has this real meticulous face where he'll be like, this is what we need to do, but then like when there's something happens and it's he has this like this big reaction, these big absurd reactions, and they're always great on SNL whenever someone's like, what do you guys think? And Kenan's just in the background, he's always like, not having it, or whatever, just like just saying exactly how the audience feels, Anyway. So I'm looking forward to it. I think Garrett's probably losing his mind. Have you sent it to Garrett?
I believe he is aware of it and was rendered somewhat speechless at the time. So I have yet to hear any real reaction to it. But it'll be fun. I'm sure he will make us cover it as a sequel this year.
Of course. Sequel.
And we're fine with that. We'll let it happen.
Yeah, we always, the end of the year, we always need some more stuff to fill in and watch. I'll tell you what, short of Crank 4 getting announced, I don't know what else could make Garrett happy.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's funny. This talking about the Good Burger news and going into the show today, this is kind of a Garrett-themed episode, despite him not being here.
Yes, he's off enjoying the Isles of, maybe not Isles, but Scotland.
Yeah, he's on his first like real vacation in a very long time, and it's his first trip out of the country. So I'm sure he'll have stories to tell when he gets back.
He'll come back a big shot. He's all worldly now.
Worldly.
Oh, you guys really should travel more. He'll be very, very snooty to us.
Hey, I've left the country. It's fine.
It's true, and you came back worse.
It's overrated. But this movie we're talking about this week is his pick, 65. It was one of his most anticipated movies of the year, and he is not here to talk about it. So I think if he were here, I think he would say he picked it as one of his most anticipated because he likes Adam Driver, and because he likes dinosaurs, and because he was hopeful that maybe a non-Jurassic Park / world dino franchise could be born. These were his hopes.
It's true. And I think that was a lot of people's hopes when they saw this trailer.
I think so. It's one of mine. Maybe not a strong one. I wasn't quite as excited, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it was on my list too.
We're always talking about wanting to see more new original stuff. Yep. And so, you want to get behind these things when you see them happening. Right. Yeah.
So with that being said, what did you think about it, David? Did wishing for an original concept pay off this time?
It was disappointingly uninteresting. I was, and I'm gonna be kind of harsh on this.
Let's do it. Take the Band-Aid right off.
I'm just gonna say this right up front. I'm gonna spoil this movie, so I'll let you know when it's coming.
Spoiler alert!
There's really no way to talk about this movie without talking about key things that happen in it. So I'm going to say,
you're right.
For me, it was like a Twilight Zone episode, but with all of the intrigue removed, like with all of the intrigue removed and with zero twists and zero turns. So the movie sets up telling you, hey, millions and millions of years ago, before humanity exists, there were other spacefaring civilizations, and this is the story of those, right? Mm-hmm. So Adam Driver crash lands his transport ship from a planet called Samaris. They're on their way through good old solar system and hits an asteroid belt and crashes into 65 million years ago Earth. And they tell you all that through text, basically at the bottom of the screen. Mm-hmm. And then from then on, so like from the trailer, where like, you're thinking, oh, does he somehow go back in time? Is he from a, are they an alien? Is he an alien? Are these actual Earth dinosaurs? Are these different dinosaurs? You have all these questions, and they just give you all those answers at the beginning of the movie. So that may be an issue with the trailer's presentation more so than the movie itself. But like from there on, I just felt like the movie, it was like, here's point A, here's point B, and then they just walked straight to it. Like there was no sense of some other bit of detail coming through, no real sense to me of the stakes didn't feel that dramatic. I mean, I get it. He's stranded on a desert, on a planet he doesn't know, but it just felt like, the challenges they went through weren't that extreme. And frankly, I didn't count. It's a hot 90 minutes, but it felt like there was maybe 12 minutes of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from to start off, Josh. I'll toss to you.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I unfortunately also found it really disappointing and really uninteresting. It is one of the more boring 93-minute movies I think I've ever seen. I was really excited going into it because it's so short. Give me that short movie. We talk about that all the time. We love a 90-minute movie. Man, not this one. It felt like an Avatar somehow. You're right. They just answer a lot of the trailer's questions immediately, which did not feel like earned. It didn't feel good to learn it that way. And the twists that do exist are just bad. Yeah. Like they're just not good twists. Like you talk about how the trailer almost makes you question, is there time travel involved, yada, yada. But you find out pretty quick that no, he's what we would consider an alien who just happened to exist 65 million years ago. And like, that's just kind of a lame twist to me. And then what I would consider the second big twist of the movie is, spoiler alert, because we haven't said it yet, when it's revealed that they have to race the planet-killing asteroid back to the escape pod. Like the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs is the big twist that's the climax. And I was also like, man, that's awfully coincidental for me. I know that
was another thing where like I already thought to myself, this kind of like a Twilight Zone thing at the beginning. But then when the asteroid they were like cataclysmic event, and I was like, oh, it's the asteroid. Right. It was like, right, exactly. What if you landed on Earth days before the dinosaurs are eliminated by a giant asteroid? So like when it happened, I was like, oh yeah, okay. But it like really in reality didn't change anything.
No, like, it didn't really change anything.
They still have to get to the same place. They just maybe need to get there, they
had to get there faster was the only difference. But yeah, exactly. You're right. It didn't really change the stakes because they were already trying to get there as fast as they could. Like that's what I didn't get about jungle, it.
Right?
Right. Right. Death was imminent either way.
Right. Because like, I mean, their alternative is live out the remainder of however long they live for. Like, let's say they live to be 100 years old, live out the rest of their lives scrounging on Earth, trying to survive dinosaurs, or get obliterated by an asteroid.
Right.
Josh, I'm going to tell you, there was a point where towards the end, Adam Driver gets stuck in quicksand. This movie felt very 80s.
Yes, it had a quicksand moment.
And I was when he sunk under, I was like, if I'm Adam Driver thinking, might as well end right here. The planet's about to get obliterated by an asteroid. I might as well just die and not know, just might as well just accept it here. And that, the little girl, sorry, Toots.
Right. So, let's get to the introduction of the sidekick character. So Adam Driver's character is transporting people who are frozen basically, and cryospheres or whatever you want to call it. But the whole reason he's doing it, we haven't mentioned yet, is another trope I felt like, where his daughter back on his home planet has space cancer, and he's taking this 2-year job because of the huge pay increase. So that's why he's doing it, to help save his space daughter from space cancer. When he crash lands on Earth, one pod reopens and a little girl thaws out. And so now he's stuck with this little girl. I liked her well enough. My biggest issue with her, and I'm curious if you'll agree, is I don't think it made any real sense to have her speak a different language the whole movie.
To have a language barrier.
Like they didn't need the language barrier. It just kind of made it more frustrating.
It created a lack. It facilitated them to have as little actual dialogue as possible.
Exactly. It made it more difficult for them to get close to each other.
All the actual dialogue that ends up existing after he finds her is mostly functional dialogue. Go, move, they get some laughs out of like, don't eat, or, things like that. But, move, run, all this stuff. Like that's all just like directions, as opposed to them having a real conversation, them trying to get through their language barrier. And, in a movie where you want that to be your focus, like Enemy Mine, or that one episode of Star Trek where Star Trek Enterprise, where Trip crash lands on a planet with some guy they're fighting, and they have to get through their language barrier in order to save each other, then maybe if it was another grown person and they think they should do it one way and he thinks they should do it another way, but they have this language barrier stopping them, then okay, you have a bit of a story there of them coming together. But in 90 minutes and it's a little girl, it just becomes this weird father-daughter dynamic where they don't really understand each other, but they both know what they have to do. I don't know.
Right. It makes it very weird, right? Because seemingly the reason the writers made her exist was because Adam Driver's character has decided, because he's the only one, he's just going to not call for rescue and just kind of end it himself.
Right.
But then he hears her stirring and now he feels obligated to bring her back. Yeah. But the language barrier, I think, kind of forces him to basically mislead her into doing it by promising her that her family is there when he knows that they're gone, which leads to a confrontation later that was also just weak and undeserved in the moment. So it was, again, like, why are you making these choices that aren't actually bringing these characters closer together or getting them any closer to home? It's just not making any sense.
And when she discovers it is within what has to be like, I think, the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So like, there's no real time for an emotional, consequence of that lie, because it's just like, yeah, all right, I lied, but like, we gotta go. We can't just sit here. Like, we're about to die. So like, get in the pod and we can, you can be mad at me for the rest. We can never speak to each other once we get back to our home planet. Like, we had to get here. So, I mean, like, there's no time. Like if they had, it's weird to advocate for a movie to be longer, but if you had more time to go through the ups and downs of what this relationship would be, whether they can speak the same language or not, I feel like it allows you to have that lie mean more. Because I was kind of on his side. I'm like, yeah, tell her whatever she needs to know. If it gets you guys back to the ship and or gets you back to this escape pod and gets you off this planet, like, it feels icky, but also you're trying to save her life.
Right.
It's that or she dies here with a bunch of dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, to me, it was like, why does that motivation even need to be discussed? Like, you really think this little girl is thinking, well, if my parents aren't there, I'll just die here? Like, no, she also was going to want to go home regardless. Yeah. So it just didn't felt necessary. It just didn't feel necessary.
And they use, so this trope is usually the wife, help me, Christopher. Oh, Christopher, we'll never die. I hope we'll never go. I hope you always think of rain whenever you see me, Christopher, or something like that. You know what I mean? The dead wife trope. But here's the dead daughter trope. And so they keep bringing imagery of his daughter up to kind of like pull on that emotional thread. But to me, it doesn't really feel like it resolves itself, or that it actually has the impact that it would normally have in a story like this. He doesn't ever really discuss his daughter's death, and he doesn't really even seem. If him watching the hologram of her playing and then it getting chomped on by a dinosaur is supposed to be him emotionally resolving it with himself that she passed, it doesn't land for me. I'm sorry. Like, it just feels like it's an unresolved thread even by the end of the movie.
Right.
So,
it didn't work. That didn't even occur to me as a possibility. I didn't even think about that.
I don't know. Like, that's closest to it.
Yeah. From there, the movie is just a typical journey movie with dumb obstacles along the way. And then it gets to the end, my favorite part, where it literally just ends.
Yeah.
After a fight with a T-Rex, they get in the escape pod, they launch, and as soon as they hit the atmosphere, the credits roll. So we don't actually find out what happened to the daughter. We don't actually find out if Adam Driver and his little friend ever make it home. We don't find out if the movie gets resolved whatsoever. All we found out was that they made it off the surface.
Yeah, they got,
what? That's not satisfying. I was so unsatisfied.
No, and I looked.
Why did I watch them go through this if I'm not even going to find out if they made it?
Yeah, it's neither like art. I feel like it's neither artistic enough to earn an unresolved ending, nor is it exciting enough for me to actually like to like, I don't know, like you expect there to be like, with some level of, I don't want to say a happily ever after, but when the movie has so little else going on, you at least want that, I think.
Yeah,
but here it's like it doesn't give you that. And sometimes if a movie is like, so Barbarian, right? You don't really know fully how that ends. I mean, he, like that has a very sudden ending, and it's kind of like, oh, well, I guess everything works out, but it's also kind of like everybody's pretty effed up after that. Right. But it's okay because the movie artistically is very interesting along the way, right? And this wasn't. This was long periods of stillness, broken up by jump scares from dinosaurs.
Right. They literally made a movie starring almost exclusively two people who can't talk to each other. Like, you've killed the chance for dialogue. I don't understand it.
I mean, I knew the movie was struggling when the two teen girls that came to see Adam Driver were bored. Like, I knew, like, they were sitting next to me, and they clearly only came for Adam Driver, because I kind of doubt they came for Ariana Greenblatt or dinosaurs. So, like, they were bored. They left midway through. I mean, they did eventually come back, but
yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. The only other thing I have really to discuss, I think, about it specifically is the dinosaurs, which were also super disappointing. You really only see two types of dinosaurs. These odd little tiny raptors are the main villain, I would say. And then at the end, the big boss is a T-Rex, two T-Rex.
Well, you see these like long,
and you see these other
like lizards that, like, I don't know, I can't really describe them. They have like really long snake-like bodies, but legs.
And it's like, you just have gotten it all wrong. Like, Jurassic Park, at least the initial Jurassic Park, treats the dinosaurs with the wonder that they deserve, I think. And I think if they had done a little bit of that, like, really show me why they're scary, not just because they're fast little reptiles. Like, the magnitude of dinosaurs wasn't sold.
Yeah, I appreciate wanting to keep it stealthy. And I even appreciate the idea of wanting to hide the big monster until the finale. Like, I get that, like, he's in the shadows, you see glimpses, you hear him in the distance, keeping your, but it just felt like they sold an action movie that isn't there, like so the guys who did this also wrote A Quiet Place, and A Quiet Place benefited from not being able to see the creatures all the time, right? From only getting glimpses at a time until the
also,
big reveal.
Do they realize
that it's not the case here?
Not all of their movies have to be so dialogue free.
Yeah, it's true.
You're allowed to make a movie where people talk.
After a while, you just start to think they may not be dialogue, may not be what they think they excel at.
Exactly.
But Quiet Place, I don't know. It's just very different. Maybe it comes down to the direction. So those guys helped write A Quiet Place, or they wrote A Quiet Place, and then this is their directing debut. So I don't know. Maybe they're better writers than they are directors.
I don't know. I did lie, though. There was one more thing I wanted to say. The funniest part of the movie for me was when they went through all the effort to save that little dinosaur from quicksand, and then it immediately got shredded.
I don't know. That was great. And later on, though, all I could think was, so they saved that baby dinosaur, and then immediately got attacked by little raptors. But even if he had made it, he was going to die anyway because there's a giant asteroid coming.
Right. That's a good point.
It couldn't have been a bigger waste of time.
It couldn't have been. They made an emotional connection to the animal and then murdered it. And then ensured you knew all the cute ones would get murdered anyway.
So, it was, so for me,
so funny.
There was I think a lesser movie or maybe a better movie would have made this joke. Adam Driver, in order to fend off the final thing, he runs and he's running away. And where does he lead it? To this giant geyser that he encountered earlier in the movie that burns him. And he's like, maybe that thing will take this thing out because I'm out of ammo. And it blasts him. And it does okay. And then, the girl, she stabs it in the eye, and then the geyser hits him again. Right. I was really unsure where this movie was taking place. And so I really thought they were going to tell us, because I thought that the geyser was going to go off, and I thought Adam Driver was going to go, well, at least it's faithful. And then I thought it was going to be Old Faithful. I thought that was going to be the big reveal. And
that would have been so funny, but it would have required clever writing. It just didn't exist.
It would either, it's such that to me, like there was a lot of 80s elements about the movie. And to me, that would have been the topper, as if he was like,
I know,
at least it's faithful, or something like that. But I don't guess it was, because if this is indeed where the Cretaceous asteroid landed, then they're in the Yucatan, Mexico. So
that stone sure is yellow.
It's all these yellow stones. I saw them earlier.
Coming out of that faithful geyser.
A geyser that goes off every 11 minutes. It seems pretty faithful. I timed it. Or however, I don't know how often Old Faithful goes off. But that's what I thought. That's what I was really expecting it when it happened. But no. Yeah, but then it just kind of, like you said, it just ends.
It just ends. It doesn't even give us an epilogue text.
No, there's not. Yeah, I mean, when you open with text, you at least close and say
exactly.
But honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know what would have been a satisfying ending. He adopts her, or he goes back home and she sees her grandparents, and he goes back to his wife who's left him for another man.
I mean, the best I can come up with to save what was given to us would be something like having them make it back, him reconnecting with his wife, and them now taking care of this little girl instead, in like honor of their daughter who passed from space cancer. Like that's the most satisfying thing I could think of, and it really only would have added maybe half a star to my final rating.
I know, and so.
I'm beginning to think that Garrett picked this in as some sort of punishment because he knew something we didn't. And then he fled the country as soon as it came out.
Yeah, he's going to come back.
Seems suspicious.
And then he's going to, he's going to talk to us. He won't end up seeing it until like November. So like all year he'll just be like, you guys didn't like that. That's strange. I heard a lot of good things about it. And he'll be like, no. And then he'll finally see it in November. He goes, I had high hopes for this, but it did not meet those hopes. No. And then Garrett will give it like lower than we will. Like Garrett will, I don't know. Garrett always gives things like, he'll talk a movie up a lot, and then he'll go, I'm going to give this 2 stars.
the inverse Andrew. This movie was terrible. 4 stars.
He goes, I didn't like it personally, but I can understand that it's good, so I'll give it 4 stars. So it's like, okay, well, that's weird. Usually if I don't like a movie, but I understand it's good, I give it like 3 or 3.5.
Hey, everybody got their own scales. That's the beauty of Letterboxd, which you can find us all on, by the way.
I don't know what else to say about this movie.
No, there's nothing.
Like I said, we had to talk about the geysers and the baby dinosaur, because like nothing else happens to talk about.
No, those are yeah. There's really nothing. It's not interesting at all. Don't go see it. Just don't.
No, it's a waste of time.
It really felt like a Netflix original.
And I feel bad
movie.
saying it. I feel bad because what do we talk about? We talk about, and I said it earlier, supporting new movies, supporting original idea movies, and so
supporting short movies, short cheap blockbusters that are original and have dinosaurs. We're not asking for much.
So like I want to be supportive, but sometimes you do that and you get burned, and I feel like
we were supportive. We paid our ticket. We went to the movie, and we, shared our experience with the masses. We can't help what happens after that.
I do want to note, I think that if it had, a studio that's been getting a lot of buzz lately is A24, and this is not an A24 movie. I do wonder if the A24 logo on the front would have boosted the returns at all for this, because A24 is becoming sort of synonymous, like, hey, this is a good non-big budget movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, maybe slightly, but I don't know. It still would have sucked. Is the thing. Like,
I know
A24 on the poster. I'd still say it sucks.
Yeah, I know. The people come and go, "Oh, rare miss," but I think more people would have tried it.
Uncommon L. All right, that's enough 65 talk. How did it do? How's it doing box office wise in the couple weekends it's been out?
Yeah, so
I assume it's been forgotten already.
It's heading that way. So the movie debuted March 10th of 2023. For a little bit of insight here, it's now March 19th. So it's been out for 2 weekends. Opening weekend, it brought in $12.3 million, which was good enough for the number 3 spot behind Creed 3 and Scream 6. And then just at the number 4 spot, you had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in its 4th week, and then below that, Cocaine Bear. So in its 2nd weekend, which is it's fresh off of, it looks like it's going to finish number 4 with $5.8 million.
Wow.
On the year, 65 is sitting at the number 13 spot, just ahead of the Titanic re-release, and just behind a movie called Pathan. This seems like a movie you would see.
I don't know.
I've not heard of this. An Indian spy movie, so maybe it's an Indian film. And then number 1 movie of the year for 2023 so far, to give you a sense of where we are, is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania with $201 million, Creed 3 with $127, Megan, Scream 6, and then Cocaine Bear.
Excellent.
Sitting at number 5.
Excellent. Well, it's time to play the letterbox game without Gary.
It's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be weird because either way, it's gonna come down to one of us. So hopefully we don't have to do a tiebreaker this time, because I don't know who will run it. I do have a few reviews of 65 to read from Letterboxd. You can follow us on Letterboxd. You can follow us individually and the show at So Many Sequels, although I would recommend you follow us individually, because we're a little better at logging our own movies.
That's true. That's true.
You can follow us there. Anyway, 1.5 stars. So tired of sitting through shit movies for the hot actors. 1.5 star. Adam Driver's After Earth. Which is a deep cut joke. Somehow this is 4 stars. Adam Driver grunting and falling over for 90 minutes. Not wrong.
Oh yeah, the jungle tortures Adam Driver over the course of this film.
And then finally, the most popular review of the movie on Letterboxd, 2 stars. This is like when the Hinge date has great pictures, then they show up and they're boring as fuck. Hurtful. It looks so good in your profile.
Hurtful.
Why don't you have hobbies?
Yeah. What do you do what for a living?
I'm a transponder.
That's an old Seinfeld joke too of men don't care what women do for a living, provided that they're attractive enough. Like they're like, if a girl's really pretty, they'll be like, oh, what do you do? Slaughterhouse? Oh, that sounds fun. So you actually work with the pigs, or but for women, the job is really important. Anyway.
Wow.
Some old classic 90s humor for you.
Yeah.
Yet somewhat true, because I got to be honest, I've been there before.
Do you have a guess?
What do I think?
What are you thinking? I'm thinking Arby's. I'm thinking 2.6 is going to be my guess.
And in that case, I'll go a little lower. I'm going to say 2.2.
Okay. 2.2 and 2.6. Surely, I don't think there's a way we can have a tie there.
No, I don't think so.
Well,
2.4 would be 2 away. Yeah.
is a 2.5.
So you're closer. You're closer.
I got closer by 0.1. That gives me one more notch.
It is, and so
I don't know what that brings us to. Where are we stand? What are our standings right now?
Let me pull them up here. So that puts you at 4. So that puts you 1 behind me. So it's me 5, you 4. Garrett and Andrew tied at 2.
Okay, so it's turning into a tighter race.
It is. We're pretty dead even right now. I mean, we're not dead even, but we're pretty close. It's all, there's a lot that can happen in a year.
Yeah, that's true. It's still early. It's only March.
That's true.
There's nowhere to go but up or down.
That's true. Well,
okay. Well, where does that leave us for our final ratings?
I really struggled with this. I really did.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 2 is the best I can do.
I think I'm going to agree with you on 2. I consider 2 to be disappointing, and that's how I feel about it. It was just really disappointing, and I expect better from you, Adam Driver.
A 2 for me on my list that I'm looking at now is bad. I just think it was bad, but it was not. Too. It was not so below that you started getting into offensively bad, where it's like, ugh, this was disgusting. There was nothing inoffensive. There was nothing, no. It was just boring, and that's almost the worst thing in film can be.
Right. That's one of film's greatest crimes to me, is being boring.
You can be bad, but at least if you hold my attention, we're good.
Right.
I almost fell asleep twice during this movie.
There are very few movies that can get away with being intentionally boring, at least for me. I know that might, I don't know. That could be controversial for the film community. We'll see.
Oh no, we'll see.
We'll see. Okay.
You start naming movies that you think are intentionally boring.
Well, I haven't done that yet, though. So let's try to avoid that.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that leaves us. I don't even have to average that. That's a 2 rating for the movie.
The 2
from the 2 of us. Thanks for listening through this, if you did. Or if you checked out early because you figured out we didn't like it at all.
But, let us know what you thought in the comments.
Yeah, we do want to know what you thought. You can check us out pretty much anywhere you have social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can follow the show there for videos if you haven't yet, and drop a comment right there. We love to see those. We got a few fun ones for the Oscar prediction show. A lot of people were excited about Austin Butler.
Yeah, and then there was somebody who was really, really upset about everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
So we, hey, all opinions are welcome here.
Yeah, go join the conversation there, as they say. And of course, find us online at somanysequels.com. You will again find links to our socials there, as well as our full catalog of episodes to go back and catch up on if you're behind. So that's it for the show. We'll be back next week with more movies. Bye.